Formula 1 history is full of crazy and visionary ideas. Rocket fuel, active suspensions, 16 cylinders, dual chassis, turbines, four-wheel drive. No idea, however, has ever come close, not even close, to the old crazy magic of a Formula 1 car with 6 wheels. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the story of the Tyrrell P34. A genius car meant to be fast, which quickly failed because of one single component. September 22, 1975. Our story begins that day. We are in England, the home of Formula 1. For more than a decade now, all the top teams have come from there. Only Ferrari holds out, ready to win back-to-back world championships from the fortress of Maranello. But anyway, if you want to become a Formula 1 star driver, you'd better move to England sooner or later. If you want to become a Formula 1 designer, you'll have twice the chance if you move to England. And if you are a journalist, you better hang around England. Hang out there. Because the news that matter, you will find in England. On the morning of September 22, 1975, almost all the top-level journalists writing about Formula 1 met on the same bus. Direction: Heathrow Hotel. Guests of Tyrrel, one of the most important teams in Formula 1 circus. Among these journalists, there was a Frenchman who, looking at the 4 front wheels of the coach as he climbed aboard, has said, "You Brits are so strange with this obsession of the 4 front wheels." Wait, what did the French journalist know? Who knows? Maybe he had a very good contact at ELF, the French company that was Tyrrell's main sponsor. Obviously, nobody understood the reference, because nobody knew what they were about to see. And so his line kind of hung there in the air. They all forgot it fast, because the bus marched directly to the hotel, where the new Tyrrell car for the 1976 Formula 1 season was about to be unveiled, the Tyrrell P34. The show proceeded smoothly. A few standard words from Ken Tyrrell, the Uncle Ken who founded the team and made it a successful facility, some greetings from Jackie Stewart, the old glory who gave 3 world championships to the Tyrrell, and then the usual confident statements from the drivers, the South African Jody Scheckter and the French Patrick Depailler. Then it was time for the unveiling of the P34. The drivers approached the back of the car and began to remove the veils from there. That was a strange choice. I mean, why starting from the back? They usually start from the front to unveil the car. Then they started to move forward, very slowly. They uncovered the rear wing, which was conventional. They uncovered the Hewland gearbox, the one that all British teams had. And then they uncovered the Ford Cosworth DFV, the naturally aspirated V8 engine that dominated Formula 1 for a decade. So far, so normal. Even the cockpit was normal, so what a boring sight. I mean, why all the fuss? Just wait a few more seconds. When the sheet uncovered the front of the Tyrrell P34, everyone was speechless. First, a single sigh was heard. Then, hundreds of barely whispered, "Whoa." And the mouth just stood there, plain open. There was so much surprise that not even an applause started. Why? Because the Tyrrell P34 had 6 wheels. 2 rear wheels and 4 front wheels. 2 very small 10-inch rims wheels on each side. Guys, the new Tyrrell had 6 wheels, and that was a secret that very few people knew. Even though the realization had not been easy, and it involved a lot of people, still nobody knew about that. It was a huge step forward compared to the turbine-powered Lotus or 4-wheel drive transmission. This Formula 1 had 6 wheels. Guys, what are we talking about? A thought so absurd that no Formula 1 designer ever touched it. At most, they thought about it in the USA 30 years earlier, but it seems like one of those crazy experiments. And in fact, it ended there as a crazy experiment. Now, it didn't. That car, that Tyrrell, was not an experiment. That car meant that one of the top Formula 1 teams decided to race that season with the 6 wheels car. Everyone was talking about it that night, even BBC. Just consider that ELF calculated that the advertising return from the unveiling alone covered all the budget allocated for Tyrrell for the entire Formula 1 season. Wow, unbelievable. Okay, that's cool, that's a crazy experiment, but now the P34 needs to go fast. And the question is, why on earth would anyone think that a 6-wheel Formula 1 car would be faster than a conventional car with 4? This is precisely where its designer comes in, Derek Gardner. Tyrrell and Jackie Stewart won their first world title in 1969, and they won it without a Tyrrell. Let me explain. Ken Tyrrell came from lumber business, which is why Uncle Ken was also called the Lumberjack. He wasn't doing badly, but certainly he wasn't full of cash. He had a passion for motors, and so he decided to set up a stable, which at first raced in junior formulas. Formula 3, Formula 2, you know, the usual stuff. Only in those days, Formula 3 and Formula 2 were independent championships, disconnected to Formula 1, and they were very competitive. So competitive that manufacturers were investing in them. Consider that Formula 1 drivers were also racing in Formula 2, because there the win prizes were high. So if your team managed to win in Formula 2, rest assured that it was ready to race in Formula 1 and even make a good impression. Designing and building a Formula 1 car from scratch, though, was a different matter. Even back in those days, it was difficult. So, a lot of people used to buy customer cars from the manufacturers, who were willing to sell them. So, Tyrrell started racing in Formula 1 by buying another car, a Matra, a French chassis. The Matra was mated to the Ford Cosworth DFV, the V8 engine that we already mentioned. Well, thanks to this scheme, a perfect race management and an excellent driver, in 1969 Jackie Stewart and Ken Tyrrell won the Formula 1 World Championship with Tyrrell without racing a Tyrrell. If we think about that nowadays, it's kind of like if Prema, the Formula 2 team, decides to go racing in Formula 1 by buying a Red Bull customer car and wins the Formula 1 World title beating Red Bull with a Red Bull customer car. It sounds crazy, I know, but 50 years ago, things worked that way. However, when you reach that point, if you really want to grow, you need to start building your own car in your own house. And this was the moment when Ken Tyrrell went to Derek Garner, our genius transmission engineer. He had met him when Matra had been exploring the idea of a four-wheel drive Formula 1 car. And so Uncle Ken said to Derek, "Look, you will design the Tyrrell Formula 1 car. Start with a blank sheet of paper, proceed in great secrecy, and see what comes out." Garner was a quiet guy, very shy, but he had a lot of drive, and he was a genius. So, challenge accepted. He turns the tool shed in his backyard into his office and started designing the car by himself. Yeah, you heard that right. A Formula 1 car designed by one person in his backyard. It was the 90s, okay? Let's forget about electronics, barge boards, power units, toggles, forget it. Those cars were literally coffins with wheels. Yes, okay, but forget computers and calculators too. No CFD. Those people did everything with pen and paper. That's just insane if you think about it. The only help that Garner got was that one afternoon Jackie Stewart went to his garden, they took measurements of the cockpit, and Garner asked him about his setup preferences. That's it. Out came the Tyrrell 001, a real gem, which immediately won a pole position on its debut race in 1970. Just a few tweaks by Derek Garner and the 003, the evolution destined for 1971, dominated the whole championship. Boy, stop, okay? Let's just stop for a second. Do you guys realize that they won a Formula 1 World title with a car designed by just one person with pen and paper in his backyard? Garner's secret was rationality. A single gearbox engineer had designed a Formula 1 car, and he had done it his way. Conventional aerodynamics, excellent weight distribution, reliability, easy to use. Derek has pushed his own strength, which were different from other phenomena like Forghieri or Colin Chapman. And he didn't stop there. Also in 1973, he still won the Formula 1 World Championship with Jackie Stewart. And that is exactly why we're asking ourselves, how the hell did Derek Garner come up with the idea of designing a six-wheel Formula 1 car for 1976? Well, we can just ask him. Someone already did. And Garner himself explained the reason behind that. I was searching for an unfair advantage. Garner was looking for an ingenious solution. That unfair advantage that complied with all the rules, surely. But it was so far ahead that at least for a whole season nobody would have been able to catch up. Something like the Braun GP double diffuser, if you remember it. And the idea of six wheels was closely related to the Formula 1 of the 70s, because as I mentioned, almost all the British teams had the same engine, the same gearbox, similar aerodynamics, the floor and the diffuser were not yet there. In short, they were all almost the same cars. Only Ferrari was different, with an ace up its sleeve of its own. Mauro Forghieri's 180 degrees 12 cylinders engine and transverse gearbox. And indeed, with that engine and that car, in 1975, Niki Lauda dominated the season. Therefore, Derek Gardner was chasing a totally different idea, one that will make that Tyrrell unique, different from all the other British cars and faster than all other cars. Just think that when he showed to Jackie Stewart the first draft of that P34 on a plane coming back from South Africa in early 1975, well, those 4 front wheels made Jackie Stewart spit all the drink. And if you're asking yourself why, well, the logic behind the 6 wheels was very straightforward. Many people thought that it was a solution meant to reduce the drag. The drag is the resistance that the car has from passing through the air, which acts like a brake for the car. The lower the drag, the faster the car. And so many people were thinking that that car was designed to hide the front wheels behind the front wing, which meant less drag, right? Well, actually, no. Because Gardner himself explained that this was not true. Just look at the 2 rear tires, which remain the same size. Those tires were the ones creating the drag. And so, replacing the front wheels with 2 smaller ones served a different purpose. Basically, that almost nullified the lift coming from the front wheels. Yes, because if you think about it, the front wheels, by rolling, generate a lift, which is basically a force that wants to lift the car. But on the other hand, you want the car to stay down. That's why you create the wings, to generate downforce, which is the opposite of lift. So, with that solution, those little front wheels reduce the lift, helping the front to stay down. Not only, those little wheels, hidden behind the front wing, greatly decrease the dirty air produced by the front wheels. And so, all the rest of the aerodynamics work better, allowing the use of a less loaded rear wing. And that is the reason why that car was faster on the straight. Exactly from the smaller rear wing, which was possible because the front wheels were smaller. Finally, 4 10-inch wheels provided higher footprints compared to 2 13-inch wheels, thus giving that car a little more grip in cornering and braking. Well, this was the theory that Derek Gardner followed in the design of the Tyrrell P34. All of it, just remember, without computers, CFD and calculators. Just genius and madness. Okay, but the real question was, would it have worked? At first, it seemed to be going well. The Tyrrell P34 did not give too many problems in its first tests. Patrick Depailler loved it. He called it my baby. He was very happy with the feeling that the car gave him. He liked the balance, and he was very comfortable with the excellent turning that the 4 front wheels provided. In contrast, Jody Scheckter hated the P34. From the first mile he drove during the testings, he could never brake decently. And so he would lose confidence, push less, and he went into that vicious circle of the driver not liking the car. You have to know that in a 6-wheel car, like the P34, brake balancing was ultra complicated. It was not just a matter of balancing the rear brake with the front brake, because it was a matter of balancing the rear brake with the front brake with the other front brake. Yes, because the 2 front brakes had to be balanced between each other. It was something very difficult to calibrate. And in fact, while braking with the straight wheel, the P34 was braking perfectly. But as soon as you started to corner, while still applying some braking pressure, at least one of the 2 inner wheels used to lock up. It was quite a problem, in short. You needed a lot of adaptation and a lot of patience while braking. Just think that in the first version of the P34, there was even a porthole on either side of the driver, so he could see all 4 tires and assess their wear. In short, that Tyrrell car was a total different world. Anyway, 1976 began well. Goodyear, which was the main tire supplier of Formula 1 cars at the time, had believed in the 6 wheels project. Consider that they developed a very specific front tires and provided a young 27-year-old mathematician, Carl Kempf, who calculated the perfect tire size using one of the first computers. In short, the P34 project was very neat, and the first results came quite soon. 4th place in the second race in Belgium, double podium in Monaco, and a 1-2 in Sweden, the 3rd race held. Wow, these guys won a Formula 1 race with a 6-wheel car. The Tyrrell P34 was ready to conquer the world. Well, actually, no, it was not ready. After the resounding 1-2 in Sweden, the Tyrrell P34 struggled to keep up with Ferrari and McLaren, with Niki Lauda and James Hunt engaged in the legendary duel for the title depicted in the movie Rush. Yes, exactly. The 6-wheels Tyrrell P34 was racing in the same championship as Lauda and Hunt. Several more podiums came, in one race Tyrrell almost won again, but no domination. That's it. So Derek Garner went back to the drawing board and designed the evolution of the P34, intended for the 1977 season. The body and brakes were strengthened to gain rigidity, some weight was paid, but some problems were solved. In the winter, Patrick Depailler and Paul Ricard even set the track record with the P34. Everything seems to be going right. That car looked ready to win the championship, but actually it was not. First of all, the new P34 was less reliable. You know, every time you increase the weight in a Formula 1 car, you increase the problems. But more importantly, and this was the most important problem, Goodyear stopped developing the tires. And that was precisely the big, gigantic problem that led to the failure of the P34. Because the regular tires had moved on with the development, while the Tyrrell smaller front tires had not. And in a racing car, you probably understand that tires are everything. You can have the fastest car in the world, but if the tires don't work, the car doesn't turn. And so in 1977, the P34 was racing with 2 rear tires, which were 2 seconds per lap faster than the 4 front wheel tires. That means horrible car to drive, with a huge understeer that not even the legendary Ronnie Peterson was able to drive. No victory came, and just think that Derek Garner, tired and disappointed, at the end of the season retired from Formula 1 forever. The story of the Tyrrell P34 ended like that, very badly, and because of just one component, the tires. Who knows, maybe with the right updates and the right tires, the car could have remained competitive. Who knows, maybe even they could have won a world title. Well, actually, the arrival of the Lotus 78, just in 1977, shifted the focus to aerodynamics and Venturi channel, the same concept that is used in nowadays Formula 1 cars. And 4 front wheels do not go best with long side pods and skirts. So probably no, that car was testing anyway, not to be racing anymore. But Tyrrell was not the only 6-wheel car. Did you know that? Yeah, because Ferrari, March and Williams all tried to put on track 6-wheel Formula 1 cars years later, but always with rear wheels, never with front. But then FIA banned the technology and everything went into oblivion. The Tyrrell P34, however, remains a wonderful adventure. It is the product of an ingenious and quiet designer, a legendary team like Tyrrell, and then you know what? Can you believe that in 1970s a 6-wheel Formula 1 car won a race? It still sounds like science fiction for me.